Welcome everyone at home and here to the October 24th City Council meeting. Appreciate you all being here and taking the time to be here. First up is ceremonial matters. I am pleased to begin tonight's meeting by reading a proclamation I recently issued recognizing national and local efforts to address our affordable housing and community development needs. Whereas for more than 70 years, it's been the policy of this nation under the U.S. Housing Act to promote the general welfare of the nation by employing its funds and credit to assist the several states and their political subdivisions to remedy the unsafe and unsanitary housing conditions and the acute shortage of decent, safe, and sanitary dwellings for families of lower income. And whereas, according to the State of the Nation's Housing Report, nearly 41 million households now pay more than half of their income for housing, and more than 4 out of 5 with incomes below $15,000 pay more than 30% for housing. And whereas, according to current estimates, on any given night, there are nearly 650,000 homeless people nationwide, and up to 3.5 million persons who experience homelessness at some point throughout the year. And whereas 1,451 people were counted as homeless in Lane County during the 2016 homeless point in time count. Annual figures show that 12,167 individuals who sought service from local human service programs were homeless at some point during the year in Lane County. And whereas the City of Eugene works in partnership with Housing and Community Services Agency of Lane County, multiple nonprofit agencies, the Housing Policy Board, and other community partners to create and preserve more affordable housing options for people with limited incomes and those experiencing homelessness. And whereas, according to the National Low Income Housing Coalition's 2015 Out of Reach report, in no state can a full-time minimum wage earner afford either a 1 or 2 bedroom rental unit at fair market rate. And whereas, according to the National Housing Conference, healthcare workers and many other working professionals are priced out of home ownership in the majority of U.S. metropolitan areas nationwide. And whereas, according to the Housing Assistance Council, 1.5 million of rural homes were considered substandard in 2009. And whereas public housing is home to more than 2.3 million people, 30% of whom are children, and faces an estimated more than $26 billion backlog in capital repairs. And whereas the National Association of Housing and Redevelopment Officials raises public awareness of the importance of affordable housing and community development programs and resources, and whereas the aforementioned group has long declared October Housing America Month part of a year-long national campaign to inform the public and decision makers of the critical need to address the nation's housing and community development concerns. And whereas the City of Eugene has, over the period of many years, endeavored to address affordable housing and community development needs and has been successful in doing so using a combination of local, state, and federal resources. Now, therefore, I, Kitty Piercy, Mayor of the City of Eugene, Oregon, do hereby proclaim October 2016 to be Housing America Month in Eugene, Oregon, and encourage all our citizens to commit ourselves to meeting the affordable housing and community development needs of this community. Thank you. I'm going to go now into public forum. The public forum is an opportunity for individuals to speak to the City Council on any city-related issues, except for those items which have already been heard by a hearings official or are on tonight's agenda as a public hearing. Each person will have 3 minutes to speak. When you come to the podium, please give your name, city of residence, and for Eugene residents, your ward if known. The timer and lights indicate the time you have to speak. The red light indicates the end of 3 minutes. We have 34 people signed up to speak tonight and 5 more who come from our special commissions and other parts of us that are working on city business. So first up is Jacob Fox, followed by Paul Neville. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Piercy and council members. I'll keep this brief. I know you have a lot on your agenda. I want to give a brief background on Housing America. In 2009, the National Association of Housing and Redevelopment Officials asked housing authorities around the nation to ask our local jurisdictions to support our efforts to create and preserve affordable housing in our community. My predecessor, Larry Abel, has been before you numerous times, and you as a council have made this proclamation numerous times. The City of Springfield and the Lane County Board of Commissioners passed a similar proclamation earlier this month. In years prior, we've had a Housing America specific event, but this year's special because of a partnership between the City of Eugene, HACSA, and St. Vinny's. We're going to focus on our efforts on the opening of Bascom Village Phase 2, and on November 10th, you all have been invited to come celebrate the opening of this important project with us. So due to your efforts in the last 2 years in partnership with St. Vinny's and the City of Eugene, we've created over 100 additional units of affordable housing in our community, and we could not have done it without your support. I do also want to frame that HACSA as the second largest housing authority in the state of Oregon and the second largest affordable housing provider in the state of Oregon. We do have a unique challenge, and that's preserving our public housing and the rest of our affordable housing. We have over 600 units of housing that has a deep rental assistance in it throughout the city, both cities and the county. This housing was built in the same era as Yapua Terrace. And if you think about Yapua Terrace, which is really kind of front and center for everybody, it's 3 times the number of units in our community. So we'll be back before you, educating you and asking for your support, not just next year for Housing America Month, but as we work to preserve this critical affordable housing. Again, thank you so much for your support.
Thank you. Paul Neville is next, followed by Emily Ryman.
Hi, I'm Paul Neville. I'm with St. Vincent de Paul Society of Lane County. And I want to give you a number tonight. It's 634. And that represents the number of units of affordable housing that have been built during Mayor Kitty Piercy's tenure. So I want to tell her thank you. And I want to just share with you a couple things. I'm not going to give you statistics about affordable housing or anything, but I want to tell you that I recently started a program in the affordable housing complexes that brings music to these kids, teaches, it gives them music instruction on a regular basis. And I go out there and I watch these kids learning to play the ukulele and percussion instruments and move with rhythm, and I watch them go out to meet their mothers or play in the playground. And I talk to the people who are the resident supervisors or who work with them, and I found out that 40% of these kids were homeless. And now they have housing. And you look around, you see it's not only housing, but at the housing that's being built in Lane County by organizations like Cornerstone and Lane County Housing Authority, and I think St. Vinny's as well. It's excellent housing with great social services, and we can all be so proud of that. And I want to thank every member of this council that's been so supportive of affordable housing. And I want to thank Mayor Piercy as well for all her work on that front. And I will also say that one thing Mayor Piercy has done so well is express the need in a way, in a context that average people can understand it. The other day, we were at a meeting where she talked about the need. The need is not going away, the need's growing. And you guys get it. And we really appreciate that. It's fortunate to be working for a nonprofit in a city whose leaders get the issue of affordable housing and know the need to build more in different types. So thank you very much.
Next up is Emily Ryman, followed by Norton Calvin.
Mayor Piercy, members of the council, I'm Emily Ryman, and I'm here on behalf of NEDCO to speak in support of the Housing America Proclamation. I think proclamations like this give us a chance not only to highlight the vast need that remains in our community, but also to take a moment to celebrate the successes that we've had that have in large part been made possible by the leadership of the City of Eugene and you as a council, and particularly Mayor Kitty Piercy. A year ago this month, we had one of those successes when the Polk Street Apartments opened with 12 units for youth aging out of foster care. I thought that one of the young women living there was going to be able to join me tonight, but she got called into work at the last moment. So she emailed me a couple of sentences to read on her behalf, if that's all right. She says, "Coming into my own place off the streets was unlike anything I could have imagined. It was this amazing opportunity that felt surreal and too good to be true. I love my home, its warmth and safety, more than this letter or any action could ever express. I don't have to stay up all night because my heater chases away the cold that used to prevent sleep. I don't have to worry that my possessions will have disappeared while I work. My keys hang on my work tags, and I know my home is real." And I think that sums it up better than I can.
Thank you very much. Norton, followed by Don Griffin.
Mayor Piercy, members of the council, my name is Norton Cabell. I live in Ward 1. I chair the Intergovernmental Housing Policy Board. Our mission is to increase the supply of affordable housing in the community. We do that in part by providing advice to you all, the City Council, regarding housing issues. I want to thank you for your support of affordable housing in all its various iterations. I mean, Eugene is wonderful at supporting developing housing, as Jacob Fox has said and Emily has said. We have efforts along the lines of tiny housing and Emerald Village and things like that, and that's all wonderful. We are a community which has, which really recognizes the importance of housing in making our community a better place to live. I want especially to thank Mayor Piercy for her indefatigable support of housing, recognizing that this is really the basis of making our community a better place to live. And so on behalf of the Housing Policy Board, I say to you, Mayor Piercy, thank you. And personally, I say, Kitty, thank you very much.
Don Griffin is next, followed by Ralph McDonald.
Good evening. My name is Don Griffin. I'm the Executive Director for Springfield Eugene Habitat for Humanity, and on behalf of Habitat, I want to thank the Council and you, Mayor, for your tremendous support of affordable housing over the years. One of the joys in my work is to see a family whose dream of home ownership comes to reality. We need the broad array of affordable housing opportunities and programs that are available in the city, and I commend you for your efforts to look at everything from the homeless issue up to the very low-income folks that come to Habitat for Humanity, wanting to take that next step in their life and their next step as a citizen of this community, and support the community through their property taxes and the long-term residential benefit that can come from the security of homes. And Mayor, you're always welcome on our builds. You've been out to numerous builds, including our women builds, and we're just delighted that your energy and your enthusiasm have carried through and been an inspiration to many. And we're grateful to you and to the rest of the council for their support.
Ralph McDonald is next, followed by Shadi Miller.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Ralph McDonald, Betty Taylor's Ward 2. I'm here tonight on behalf of the Eugene Sustainability Commission to make a statement. I also commend the efforts on affordable housing throughout Eugene, and it was a pleasure to hear about these efforts. On October 19th, the Sustainability Commission unanimously voted to commend and support the City Council's adoption of the resolution introduced by Councillor George Brown supporting the Standing Rock Sioux tribal opposition to the construction of the Dakota Access Pipeline project. If not done so, we suggest that this adopted resolution be formally sent to the Standing Rock Sioux tribal government. This pipeline, now under construction, traverses the ancestral land of the Standing Rock Sioux, and if completed would pose an unacceptable risk to the ground and surface water supplies of millions of people. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers issued the permits for its construction over the objections of 3 other federal agencies. This is an example of a government agency and a private company failing to consult with the affected communities, and in this case, failing to consult with a vested tribal government. For the City of Eugene, the Dakota Access Pipeline project should reinforce the need to proactively reach out and to consult with neighborhoods and organizations before decisions are made on projects or policies that affect them. Thank you again for adopting this resolution in support of the Standing Rock Sioux. Just to add personally that I saw that over the weekend, 141 peaceful protesters were arrested at Standing Rock. If people would like to find more about what's going on in the middle of the country there, they could look at standingrock.org or sacredstonecamp.org. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Shadi Miller is next, followed by Artemio Paz.
So good evening. My name is Shadi Miller and I live in Ward 2. I've served as a primary care physician here in the community of Eugene for the last 12 years. I'm here with my colleague Anna Hunter, who's a pediatric gastroenterologist, highly recruited by OHSU for our community. And we're really here to ask the City Council to place a cover on Amazon Pool so that we can provide adequate swimming resources for our entire community. Between us, we have 5 kids that currently swim on Team Eugene. We chose to move here for the quality of life that it provides in this community, and also the great educational opportunities, family-friendly resources. We've been pretty disappointed that with the pool space, because we have 10 kids kind of swimming in one lane at a time, increases risks of injuries. You would think that concussions wouldn't happen in swimming, but my kid got one running into another kid. So the lack of pool space really also limits the swim lessons for children in our medical practices, which is really an essential skill because it will prevent them from drowning, which is important. We did a recent survey and we conducted it with a national physician mom group. We asked them about local area resources that had influenced them choosing an area to live and practice medicine. So we asked how many research schools and after school activities, 25% research schools only, 72% research both schools and after school activities, and 96% reported that these resources influenced their decision. And out of those people, 50% of the responders have children on swim teams. So we've been actively trying to recruit physicians to this area, and resources are a big issue when we're compared to similar sized metropolitan areas. So the significant shortage of primary care physicians as well as medical specialties in our community really affects the health of the entire community. So we would really appreciate, and we do appreciate the work the council does in dealing with a variety of issues and concerns from our community members with limited resources. By seasonally covering Amazon Pool for use during the winter season, like they do at Mount Hood Community College, the City of Eugene would really demonstrate its commitment to meeting the needs of our community for more pool space. It would allow us to have improved recruiting, both for medical professionals and I imagine for all kinds of professionals in this area, and also rural swim lessons for all of our kids in this community and hopefully for better health for all. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you very much. Art Paz is next, followed by Dick Harrigan.
Mayor Piercy and council members, my name is Art Paz. I live at 86950 Cedar Flat Road. I'm the former chair of the Oregon State Board of Education. I'm here tonight to support your community climate and energy action plan. I feel like the language that forms and shapes a comprehensive assessment of resiliency and sustainability sustainability is really important for this community and like communities throughout the nation. Having said that, I also believe that the climate plan needs to metabolize and align with other local priorities. In 2014, the Oregon State Board of Education adopted Next Generation Science Standards. That standard articulates climate change issues for the first time in K through 12 classrooms. In the existing City Climate Action Plan and its Progress Action Update, with 6 case study assessment categories, the health and social services, as well as the building and energy categories, do not leverage next generation science standards alignment efficiencies, nor the potential for educational outreach. These content-rich case study areas explore climate energy opportunities that could significantly align with K through 12 student environmental literacy. The city's role as an intergenerational leader could help catalyze exploration of school campus interface with city neighborhoods, school bus and student pedestrian neighborhood school routes, while also engaging K through 12 content, science-rich curriculum and placemaking. Finally, the NGSS, Next Generation Science Standards, provides the city with a unique architecture to explore such items as 1.4 and 29.1 of the action plan, while providing an intergenerational language framework to develop student and community critical thinking skills and knowledge that shape community well-being. Therefore, I would encourage the city's climate action policy to incorporate an outreach to schools and their creative, idiosyncratic science and social studies classrooms. And that includes the broad breadth nature of their equity population as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vic Harrington is next, followed by Carolyn DeMarco.
Thank you for letting me speak. For once, I'm not here for self-alignment. Wonderful. I'm actually here.
Introduce yourself.
I'm sorry. I'm Vic Harrington. I'm in Betty Taylor's ward, Ward 2. Sorry about that. I am part of the working group for the Council of South Eugene Neighborhoods for the Homeless. And so part of what I'm going to say is from that group, and some of it is my own thoughts. So that's why I didn't put it down as be theirs. I hope you received my letter last week. I'm hoping the weekly actually does produce it or print it. I think it's important. The point that I was trying to make with that is that we need to do more than just find housing for homeless. We need to find a way to break the cycle. And that's what I'm hearing is a lot of good things, and I'm really glad I heard the stuff in the beginning. But we need to figure out how to break this cycle. And I've said in my letter, I've hired 2 of these guys who are unhoused, and they really want to work hard, and they do good work. But the problem is they have a background. So anyone with a background is going to, if they have, I don't know what conditions of arrest would give a felony type charge. But if somebody has something on their background that they have to recite to an employer, they're not going to get a job, or it'll be very, low income type job. So what I'd like to do is see how we can fix that with our local. I don't know how we get to our judges, our courts, and it's national. It's not just here. This is everywhere. So I don't know how we can stop the persons from, once they do their time, do we ever forgive anybody? Or are they always going to be slammed for the rest of their life? And one of the guys that I hired actually was from a household of homeless. So he grew up homeless. And now he's 23 years old and homeless himself. So we need to deal with the housing issue, which it sounds like we're doing. Medical, but we need to do more. Medical care, mental health care, One of these guys he's been trying for 6-7 months to get into OHP, and he getting deferred, and he's just giving up. Is it drug care? Yeah, people who have drug issues because they're self-medicating. Yeah, some of them are because they like it, but others, they probably have problems, and that's why they're doing the drugs. And of course, like I said, legal issues. Okay, part of the thing from the CSUN working group, oh my, I'm almost out of time, is tiny homes, sanctuary communities, and car camping. So I want to stress that we should focus on those, and hopefully we could find land together, property that we can use for these purposes. Thank you.
Thank you. Carolyn DeMarco is next, followed by Dave Hauser.
Good evening. I'm Carolyn DeMarco. I live in Santa Clara in Ward 7. So I'm here to tell you what the Eugene City Pools mean to me in my life. On June 6, 2014, I received a life-saving kidney transplant, and from day one, physical activity was stressed as a crucial component of my recovery. So after a 6-year absence from the pool, I was able to start swimming again 7 weeks after transplant, and I haven't gone more than a week since without swimming. I even started competitively swimming with the Emerald Aquatics Master Swim Team. I competed in my first swim meet just 8 months after my kidney transplant, and in 2015, only 2 people in Oregon swam in more races than I did. One of my biggest motivations in the pool was to compete at the Transplant Games of America, which are held every 2 years. The Games are a multi-sport festival to help promote the need for organ and tissue donation and to show the world that transplantation is a treatment that does indeed allow people to lead healthy and productive lives. In June of this year, I was able to fulfill that goal and swam for Team Northwest at the 2016 Transplant Games of America in Cleveland, Ohio. I came back with 6 medals, 4 of them gold, and hope to swim for Team America at the World Transplant Games in Spain next year. So it started out as a way just to regain my health and maintain the health of my body, and my new kidney has really evolved into a complete way of life for me. So even when traveling, the first thing I do is find nearby pools and fit swimming in my travel schedule. However, what's increasingly difficult to do is find time and space to swim here in Eugene. When I want to practice outside my team's schedule, it is very difficult and sometimes not even possible to find a time and place where I can swim. This is especially true in the winter months when swim season starts for all the high schools and swim clubs are in full swing. Masters teams have meets year-round, and it is difficult to train in the winter months as finding consistent pool space becomes harder and harder. Oftentimes, it requires a great deal of advanced preparation and planning in order to schedule a workout. So I would encourage the city to support an increase in pool capacity, and I would help encourage this effort in any way I can. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you. Dave Hauser is next, followed by Carolyn Cummings.
Mayor and Councilor Dave Hauser. I live in North Gillum in Councilor Clark's ward. You know, I was reflecting the other day, I've been working on downtown issues for 25 years. And I've never been so proud of the progress our community has made as I am today about our downtown. Thanks to the leadership of the City Council, city staff, dozens of stakeholder groups, what we've accomplished in our downtown since 2008 is remarkable. And there's more good stuff coming. The Olive Lofts, 33 East Broadway, the projects enabled by your extension of the Downtown Urban Renewal District, new businesses, new retailers. You know, there's plenty of reasons to be bullish on the future of downtown Eugene. At the same time, there's an interesting juxtaposition between this really cool, re-emerging downtown and these lingering public safety challenges that, if not addressed, I think put at risk all the great progress that we've made. I mentioned I've been around for a long time. I've been a part of at least 2 downtown public safety plans. I've read one that preceded those 2. And when you look at them, there are the same issues identified. Illegal and hostile behaviors, including multi-forms of harassment, a lack of accountability or consequences for illegal or antisocial actions, physical spaces that are abused or misused, and a need to connect people who need and want help to the help that our community provides. You know, many of those challenges are as present today as they were when they were identified in 2008. And like I said, I've been around and I know that the issues of public safety in downtown ebb and flow. Sometimes it feels like they're getting better. Sometimes it really feels like we're losing ground. And that's exactly how it's felt over this last summer, like we're losing ground in our downtown. So I know that you have a work session forthcoming on downtown public safety and the future of downtown. I just want you to, on one hand, appreciate all the good work that's being done by the Eugene Downtown Patrol, the Downtown Guides, the LTD Security, a host of other groups, but at the same time recognize that it's not working and we need to try some new things. So I want you to keep your mind open to trying some new things that might change the environment in our downtown and help preserve this great progress that we've made. And also recognize there are lots of stakeholders that are willing to help you as you take on these new ideas. Thank you.
Next is Carolyn Cummins, followed by Mariah Lund.
Hello, Mayor, City Council members. I'm Caroline Cummings, resident of Eugene. And I'm here today because I'm actually fed up and disgusted about being able to walk safely around our downtown, whether it be during working hours or on the weekends. There are several areas that I consider to be problems due to individuals who choose to loiter, litter, and lash out to passersby. I've been personally sexually harassed verbally several times in the downtown. Kesey Square and surrounding blocks, library, bus station and surrounding blocks, my new office at 942 Olive, the Parks blocks, just to name a few. My physical space has also been threatened, and I'm not talking about homeless or travelers. I'm talking about anyone loitering on the streets, lashing out to others and creating hostile and unsafe environments. I've already expressed one frightening incident to you via email on September 7th, where I wished I would have had a weapon to defend myself. I sent this to every city council member, city manager John Reese, police chief Kearns, and Mayor Piercy. I have since received responses from John Reese, Chief Kearns, and I've had 2 very productive meetings with the Eugene Police Department and 1 scheduled with John this week. I'm here because you, the Eugene City Council, passed laws to help govern our city. And I'd like to know how and why these individuals' needs are given more rights and more catered to, more than I am, a law-abiding, tax-paying citizen who donates to at-risk youth programs, gives to other philanthropic endeavors, mentors entrepreneurs at risk, helps create jobs via my role as a venture catalyst. I'm on a task force to help address and eradicate sex trafficking in our community. And I regularly stop and buy food for homeless youth and give them my business card with the sex trafficking hotline number and more. Why are my needs to have a safe downtown not prioritized? This is not a police problem, this is a community problem. If I didn't stand up to that hostile group in front of Cowfish several weeks ago in the middle of my workday to defend myself and demand respect, then no one else would, and those individuals would continue their rude and surly behavior if I hadn't taken action. We all need to step up and take our downtown back. Yes, we need to take it back because it's clear that I and my colleagues and my 85-year-old mother-in-law and her friends cannot safely have lunch in the park blocks or sit on the sidewalk in front of Starbucks or Townsend Tea or Kesey Square. My mother-in-law and her friends used to have lunch and spend $30 a week in the downtown. That's now hurting the pockets of the merchants. I'm not dispassionate about homeless population, mental illness, or youth on the streets. I've donated money and time to every single one of these causes. But it's your job to take a long, hard look at this and decide if the downtown truly is for everyone, then why is it that I and those I previously mentioned don't feel safe or welcome there? We need to work together to develop a common view of our cultural norms and mores that establish a safe haven that fosters security and prosperity for our entire community. I'm an entrepreneur who wants to help. It's in the entrepreneur's DNA to solve problems that others struggle to solve. So please invite me and my networks of entrepreneurs in for an intellectual and compassionate, solutions-oriented conversation around the need to make Eugene safe and welcoming for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Ray, you're next, followed by Michael Adams.
Greetings. My name is Mariah Learn from Eugene, Ward 8. It is my understanding that Councilor Claire Surratt is recuperating from an illness, and I want to take this opportunity to wish her a speedy recovery. I certainly hope viewing the videos on the recent incident in the park blocks has not delayed her healing process. I read something on Facebook, and I would like to verify it. Is it true that our city manager, John Reese, compared the crackdown on our community's poor to our military surge in Iraq. I would like to remind Mr. Reese that our military subjugation of Iraq was illegal, justified by lies, killed over 1 million Iraqis, dispossessed 4 million, and imposed an illegitimate occupying government from which Iraq has never recovered. I am deeply concerned about the militarization of our police and the appearance of what seems like excessive brutality in response to apparently minor citizen resistance, someone apparently unarmed and not in any way threatening people. In his peculiar choice of analogies, Mr. Reese may have been closer to the truth than he realized.
Michael Adams is next. No clapping, please. And then Priyamon Maekadeth.
Good evening. My name is Michael. Let's see, Eugene, Ward 1. I think I got all the recs. I'm here tonight because over the weekend we had an incident where police protocol is in question. The response to and how they handled the arrest of a gentleman named Jeff downtown, just right over here in the park blocks, was pretty scary. I was watching video of what happened, and right off the bat, I couldn't figure out why it took close to 20 police officers, 10 police vehicles, sirens blaring, nightsticks, pepper spray, taser gun, and punching of a person being arrested to arrest him. I couldn't understand why, when I heard the actual beginning of this confrontation, if you will, I'm not sure what else to call this, the person was told that he was not being detained. And then he went to walk away, and then the detainment started. I don't understand why this happened. So what I'm asking from City Council is to realize, with everything that's being mentioned here tonight, and that we get together. I've come to you before and I've said, look, we need to consider all sides of the situation, and that's very true. It's unfortunate that certain events are happening, that a lady has to write you an email to say that I'm not safe, that anyone has to write you an email saying that they're not safe. But one thing that I feel it's not being considered is that the homeless people are also not safe. So I'm going to give 50-50 here and say that both sides are correct. Neither one is safe because we're not addressing the problem. We have a lot of units of affordable housing, and that's good. We need to do more, and we all know that. But there's also another side of this story where it's the mindset of the people that are around us. It's the mindset of your neighbor. It's the mindset of myself and others here in this room tonight. We need to help people understand what the actual problems are. It's great to show up to a build. It's great to show up for an event where people are being helped. What would be even more awesome is if you showed up to give us some education. Help us help everyone else understand what the true problem is, and then maybe we can all get together and actually solve this problem.
So Priyamon is next, followed by Jim New.
Good evening, Mayor Piercy and councilors. My name is Priyamon Maekadeth, and I am Vice President of the Downtown Eugene Merchants Association and manager at Shoeaholic. For over 40 years, my family has been in business downtown. My father actually started in the same space as Councilor Brown. My role as board member of DEM has given me the opportunity to network with over 70 other business owners in the downtown area. And quite constantly, we're talking about safety as a topic of concern. while we've begun to tackle the previous vacancy issues that were left behind from 1970s urban renewal, we're now dealing with some new challenges. One big qualm is that merchants who pay rent and occupancy fees for downtown businesses find themselves up against individuals who are panhandling, loitering, and sometimes engaging in blatantly illegal activities. While merchants wishing to promote their businesses are required to seek a permit for a sidewalk sandwich board, there are people who are just setting up on the sidewalks and occupying the space in front of their buildings, hindering access to people who are attempting to go about their business. I'm asking on behalf of both myself and the Downtown Eugene Merchants Association for the City Council to please work with us and the Eugene Police Department to create ordinances and solutions to help curb some of this negative behavior happening downtown. Thank you all for your time tonight.
Jim New is next, followed by Lori Powell.
Mayor and Council, my name is Jim New. I live in Ward 7. I would like to thank the Mayor and Council for updating the Climate Recovery Ordinance in July and committing the City of Eugene's total community greenhouse gas emissions reduction level of 7.6% per year beginning this year through 2050. This target will achieve 350 parts per millionth of CO2 in the atmosphere. Aligning with this revision to the CRO is the city's commitment to improve its transportation system plan in order to achieve the goals and benchmarks of the CRO. The language of the Community Climate and Energy Action Plan is to provide the community progress reports and analysis to get on track. One of these reports, in determining the direction of the transportation system plan, which would include the Beltline expansion, Envision Eugene pedestrian and bicycle plan, and North Eugene development, would be the city's triple bottom line tool. If this institution is serious about averting the worst impacts of climate change, such a climate test should become a standard part of decision on infrastructure or policy. A quote by an ODOT presenter of the Beltline at Delta Highway Interchange Improvement Project at the Santa Clara Community Organization meeting on October 6 said, "Less congestion equals better air quality," which leads one to believe increasing lanes equals better air quality, but in reality means you can't build your way out of congestion. The triple bottom line tool is a framework the City of Eugene uses to reach its sustainability goals when taking into consideration a project's economic prosperity, social equity, and environmental health effects on the community. As the transportation system plan, the North Eugene development, Envision Eugene pedestrian bicycle plan, and the Beltline at Delta Highway Interchange Improvement Project are about to be considered by the Mayor and this Council. I hope Council considers how these projects weave with the Community Climate and Energy Action Plan. Thank you very much.
Lori Powell is next, followed by Coriel Ride-White.
Good evening, Mayor and Councilors, City Manager. My name is Lori Powell. I live in Ward 1, and I'm a member of 350 Eugene. I'm speaking on behalf of the Climate Recovery Ordinance. While we await the rollout of the stakeholder review process concerning the CRO targets and benchmarks and the updates to the Climate Energy Action Plan, we're asking that the City Council and the City Manager's Office immediately and consistently implement already vetted and approved low-hanging fruit climate-related strategies, including the triple bottom line that Jim just mentioned. Just to review, for everyone here who may not know what it is, it's a framework for the City of Eugene to reach its sustainability goals. It's designed to help us think about and explore environmental equity and economic impacts. Environmental impact measures include greenhouse gas assessments. Upcoming policy decisions concerning the urban growth boundary and transportation system plan will most definitely need greenhouse gas assessments before these go up for a vote. We hope these assessments are currently underway and look forward to the work sessions in which this information will be presented. To conclude, thank you for all your support for the CRO this far and for your unanimous support of the resolution on behalf of Standing Rock. We are in solidarity with Standing Rock as a community, of course, and the climate protectors and journalists who have been arrested at Standing Rock are an inspiration for us all to do what we can as a community to fulfill our commitments to seeing the CRO through to full implementation. Thank you.
Thank you. Coriel is next, followed by Serena Orsinger.
Good evening. My name is Corey Already White. Thank you for having me tonight. I live in Ward 1. Just to pick up where Jim and Lori left off, as we move to implement cross-departmental tools that will help the City of Eugene reach its recently amended goal of lowering our annual emissions by 7.6%. I think we do need to turn to the triple bottom line. When I looked at it closer today, I was really happy to see that there already is a whole section on climate change that asks the important questions. I'm just going to go through them quickly here. Does this proposal directly generate or require the generation of greenhouse gases? How does this proposal align with the internal carbon neutral by 2020 goal adopted by the City Council? Will this proposal or ongoing operations result in an increase or decrease in greenhouse gas emissions? And how does this proposal affect the community's efforts to reduce greenhouse gas emissions or otherwise mitigate adverse climate change activities? These are the questions that you all should be asking and the city should be telling you every time you're facing a major decision. It's clear as day. And frankly, it's the questions that we want to see as a public. So I don't know if you are getting these questions answered with every big decision. If it's a part of your packet, I haven't seen them when you guys usually post the packet online. My request would be that for every major decision, you guys can define what that is, $1 million or more, something affects our infrastructure. If we could see the answers to these questions beforehand, I think that will help us all make an informed decision. Obviously, many of the big decisions are going to produce greenhouse gases. That's understood. It's okay, but let's see it. Let's talk about it. If the point of this is to have this information when we make these major decisions, let's have the information. This is brilliant. Let's use it.
Serena Orsinger is next, followed by Sue Saralupe.
Good evening, Council. My name is Serena Orsinger. I'm a sophomore at South Eugene High School. I live in Eugene, and I'm here tonight speaking on behalf of the EG 350 Club. I am here to request direct action from the City Council regarding climate change, specifically the Climate Recovery Ordinance. I have been worried about the effects of climate change ever since I was 3 years old and found out that polar bears might go extinct from climate change. As Barack Obama said, there's one issue that will define the contours of the century more dramatically than any other, and that is the urgent threat of climate change. Climate change is something that I feel is a huge issue to my safety and to the safety of future generations. I think that the Climate Recovery Ordinance will help to influence people to make a change. I would like to request from the City Council to move action along on the CRO. Climate change is time sensitive and cannot wait. Thank you.
Thank you. Sue Saralupe is next, followed by Mel Height.
My name is Sue Saralupe and I live in Ward 1. I'm also the clinic manager for Occupy Medical, and we were a street clinic, and now we're housed. We've had the opportunity to, at least for the next 3 months, be in a place that Whitebird Medical has vacated for a little while. It's 509 East 13th. We are still providing Sunday care. Every Sunday from 12 to 4, and with our little bit of free time, because it's true, when you become housed, you do not have to work so hard to keep yourself surviving, and that's true for our clinic as well. We have been saving 6 hours every week just for myself and 6 hours for Donna over there, as well as 6 hours for each of the other people that have been helping us up and down with those blasted tents. So now we've had time to dedicate to some other projects that have been real dreams of ours for a long time. One, which starts November 2nd. It's a bilingual urgent care pediatric clinic. It will be in Central Latino Americano, which is a very comfortable place for the bilingual Spanish-speaking community. Also, because it is a 6:30 to 8:30 at night clinic for those parents like myself that have trouble bringing our children in during working hours, it's a real boon for them. So again, that's November 2nd. And another little item we've been working on is in cooperation with Egan and Rite Aid pharmacies, Occupy Medical will be distributing free flu vaccines in the Healthcare for All model November 7th at the 509 East 13th Avenue Clinic, 12 to 4. And I want to thank you all for hearing me out as I keep coming up and speaking the plight of the unhoused. I'm in a privileged position because I do get to hear the stories. People come to our clinic and they will stay the entire 4 hours, taking advantage of either the social workers, the medical providers, our herbal team, or just to have a safe place to sleep, to eat, to get the hygiene supplies that we have. And that means that we get to hear their stories, and being able to share those with you, I think, is a real honor. It breaks my heart when I see our citizens, housed and unhoused, being treated with disrespect, and to address the fact that a roof is good medicine for the body and for the soul. It really means a lot to me, and it makes my job easier. Thank you.
Mel Height is next, and Bodie Richards comes after.
Hello. I guess I should start by,
Introduce yourself.
I'm Mel Height. I really am like a nobody. I'm not associated with any organization. The time that I spend with the unhoused is solely on my own. I do very much support, because of my own thoughts and feelings, some of the organizations, and I stand behind them strongly, but I don't know anything about any one of you, actually, so it kind of makes me feel a little bit better that I don't have to be scared of who's opposing me. So I'm just going to put it out there that I came in here with like a totally different perspective of what I wanted to talk on, but I've heard so many people speak that I just think with the 2 minutes that I have left, the unhoused issue is huge, and I've heard so many people speak on the housing projects that are coming up, and I think that's amazing. It's awesome. I think that, the tiny houses and all that is great, but there are so many people as of right now who can't access that. The waiting lists are huge. There's so many people right now that are, like, the city is legitimately trying to push out of the park blocks and try to make downtown what they call safer, but they have nowhere to go. There are no options for them. So I think a huge focus on what are the quicker options than waiting on lists and things, if you're really wanting them out of downtown, if you're wanting them to be housed and to be helped, like looking at different options that are quicker options. I heard this lady over here talk about her feeling unsafe and how the downtown associations and the businesses that people have worked so hard for, they're wanting to feel safe and wanting customers to feel safe. But I implore you all to kind of think about, where are your funds going? I think there are a lot of good people who are donating money, and maybe they need to look a little bit harder of where their money is actually going and what it's actually funding. If their purpose is to actually help people and get them out right now and get them the services they need right now, I think that we should really think about where that funding is going. Not saying that people shouldn't donate to different organizations, because I think they're all really great. But I've noticed a big difference since this task force has been enforced downtown, and they're saying that unhoused are feeling more comfortable and coming and talking to them. I've seen totally the opposite. I have not seen anybody actually be helped by the task force, by the things that they're supposedly helping. I haven't seen anything like that. I think that the so-called riot that happened downtown, I feel that that was very much out of fear. I spend time with these people talking to them on a regular basis, and it was very much fear-driven. They were afraid. If any of you want to actually talk about
You'll have to go do that elsewhere. Thank you. Bodie Richards is next, followed by Wesley Georgiev.
Mayor Kit Piercy, members of the council. My name is Bodie Richards. I live in Ward 7. I'm here representing Shelter Care today. Today, the National Institute for Children, Poverty, and Homelessness released a report. The report stated that in the state of Oregon, federal housing options are actually on the decrease. Section 8 vouchers are down 5% as of 2014. More current data is not available at this point because the federal government tends to analyze this data rather slowly. However, the same study showed that that there is an increase in homelessness among those who are receiving vouchers. It's up to 28% now. The report stated that the move to rapid rehousing as the preferred service model, that's emergency housing, has resulted in decreased funding for service providers across the country, leading many shelters to close or reduce the families that they're able to assist. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how this is affecting our community and the efforts of nonprofits like Shelter Care. It's great that we're building new facilities and providing more housing options, but our efforts are not keeping pace with the need. In 2012, Shelter Care's family housing program had 28 units housing homeless families. The number today is 4. For us, the failure of the current system is two-pronged. Federal HUD regulations siphon already lean dollars into emergency housing efforts, which means that other options are disappearing. In our community, such programs are almost entirely dependent now on private property owners. And with over 12,000 of Lane County citizens seeking assistance in the last year, there's not sufficient housing even available. Shelter Care would like to thank the efforts of Mayor Piercy to bring attention to this issue, ongoing throughout the period of time that you've been serving the community. And with today's Housing America proclamation, Shelter Care would like to encourage the City Council to continue this good work by seeking every available avenue to find solutions for our community's dire, ongoing, emergent needs. Thank you.
Wesley next, followed by Thomas Pettisar.
Hello, City Council, Mayor, and City Manager. My name is Wes Georgiev, and I'm a junior at South Eugene High School, and I'm a co-founder of the EG350 Club at South. First tonight, I would like to begin by speaking about the Transportation System Plan. Now, although the Climate Recovery Ordinance and the Transportation System Plan are two very separate documents, much of the language in the two is interdependent. And the bike ped plan in the TSP would provide us with the necessary infrastructure to make great strides in reducing carbon emissions from the transportation sector, which constitutes 28% of the national greenhouse gas emissions. I strongly encourage you to reallocate funds from the Beltline project to support the bike ped plan because we don't want to progress a vehicular culture. Second, the TSP is based on the triple bottom line assessment our city implemented 10 years ago so that the council can base decisions on social, environmental, and financial impacts. These are mandating things that we need to take into account when we make our decisions. And look, instead of having a guy who makes over $200,000 a year jot down notes telling me what my future is going to be, I'd rather see wise decisions being made, hopefully by the City Council, and I think that the TSP would be a great place to start. Thank you.
Thank you. Thomas Pettisar is next, followed by Donna Brittle.
Hello, Mayor and Councilors. My name is Thomas Petizar, Ward 2. I've lived in several communities before moving here to Eugene, and I must say, nowhere else have I witnessed such apathy and neglect, so much inaction in talking around a problem that is so visible and chronic as I've seen here in Eugene regarding the safety of our downtown. I'm tired of being politically strategic about this disaster. Please do something. Please do something before businesses far more critical to our local economy than mine move out of here. Please do something before individuals far more important to our community than myself move away from here. We're going to continue to see more of what we did last Friday at an escalating scale. I feel that something really terrible is going to happen, that someone is going to lose their life in a tragic way before anything is actually done. I'm not trying to be sensational here, but I truly believe from what I've seen that that's what it's going to take, and that is totally unacceptable. You want to talk solutions? I'm happy to talk solutions. Y'all know that. But boy, there has been a whole lot of talking, and the situation is worse than ever. Worse than ever. Something needs to be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Followed by Alden McWayne.
Donna Riddle, Springfield, Oregon. And my heart hurts by what happened on Friday. It hurts for the police. It hurts for the man who I feel was still being hit when he was down. I feel hurt for the kids who are so scared of the police because they haven't had positive interactions and they don't have the skills to be civil. I'm really sorry for the lack of civility on all people's parts. I want to say that since we've moved into a building, we now notice that we were always providing a safe place while we're at the park blocks, and we do have an extension that we're going to have a presence there at times. We now have people coming over who don't really want hospitality, who just want a safe place to be for 4 hours. And I'm sorry that I don't feel unsafe downtown. I mean, I've never felt unsafe downtown. But I feel sorry for the people, both the homeless people who feel very unsafe and are very unsafe, and for the people that do feel unsafe because they have some interaction with people that look scuzzy and beg inappropriately to try and get their needs met. I want to thank you, Kitty Percy, for all you've done for this community and the City Council for caring about housing and trying to do something for those less fortunate. Thank you.
Alden is next, followed by Gwendolyn Iris.
Hi, my City Council, Mayor Piercy, and City Manager. I came this evening to keep all of your eyes on the ball, which is right now the Climate Recovery Ordinance and the Transportation System Plan. But I want to begin by talking about what I do in the fall and winter. This fall and winter I've been playing a lot of Ultimate Frisbee in the rain, and also I've been thoroughly enjoying listening to jazz in the house, and also sewing and reading with the rain pounding on the roof. But as I've researched today, I've found that, or it increased my belief, the drier climates such as Bend, Eastern Oregon, Southern Oregon are going to be getting increasingly drier. Meaning, I mean, we live in like this paradise in the Willamette Valley, and I know I get spoiled with all the rain, but just many kids, many people just all over the world with droughts are not going to be able to have the same experiences as me, and are not going to be able to play Ultimate Frisbee in the rain like I do. But I know it's a big issue, but I just wanted to, and it's a very serious issue, but I just wanted to share a personal anecdote. Thank you.
Gwendolyn Iris is next, followed by Michael Kerrigan.
Hi, my name is Gwendolyn Iris, and I'm actually in between houses right now, so I'm not in anybody's ward. I am a resident of Eugene. I came tonight after seeing the video make rounds on social media of a man being arrested on Friday. And I really want to make sure that the actions taken by officers with the Eugene Police Department are investigated thoroughly, and that they're held accountable. I'm pretty sure that it's not legal to taser somebody in the face. I'm pretty sure it's not legal to punch somebody in the kidneys. I'm pretty sure many of those things that I witnessed on that video are not legal, whether you are a police officer or not. These are public servants. They are supposed to be working for the good of the public, whether that public happens to have a place to live or not, whether that public happens to own businesses or not. It is absolutely unacceptable what I saw on that video. And it cannot stand. As a community, we cannot allow our public servants to behave in that manner.
Michael Kerrigan is next, followed by Shanna-Lee Forrest.
My name is Michael Kerrigan. I live in Ward 7, and I'm representing CalCore Community Alliance of Lane County tonight. But I also serve on the boards of the Opportunity Village Eugene and the Nightingale Health Sanctuary. I'm here tonight to call on the city to do more to address homelessness in our community and do it in a way that treats everybody with dignity and respect. Before I proceed, however, I want to thank the mayor for all she has done to help the unhoused in our community. Kitty and I were in a meeting this morning with folks from the city of Salem to talk about our rest stop program and to show them the rest stops. She made a very strong case for the rest stops and for Salem to follow our lead. Thank you, Kitty, for that and for all that you've done. What we've done is great, but we need more rest stops, and we need them in every part of the city. I'll be working with neighborhood activists to build support for the rest stops and to turn NIMBY, not in my backyard, into YIMBY, yes, in my backyard. We also need to expand our car camping program, a program that works really, really well. In addition to this long-term approach, we need to ramp up our efforts to get unhoused off the streets and into safe and legal places to be, and we need to do it now before the weather gets any nastier. Current city policies toward homelessness that rely heavily upon law enforcement are not working. I was very disappointed with how EPD handled the incident in the park blocks. We can and we need to do better than that. Moving people who are homeless from point A to point B, citing and arresting some along the way is just not the best use of our police. We need to forge more effective, less costly, and more humane solutions for dealing with people who are unhoused. Calc and I personally look forward to doing that with you, city staff, and community activists in the weeks and months ahead. Thank you very much.
Shanna-Lee Forrest is next, followed by Andrea McKinnon.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. My name is Shanna-Lee Forrest, and I live in Ward 8. And the reason I'm here tonight is because I was deeply, deeply appalled and frightened and disheartened by the way that EPD handled the incident on Friday in the park blocks. I was sickened by the video that I watched. I couldn't finish the entire video. This video reminded me of the videos that we're seeing around the country of law enforcement and the militarization of police. And while I'm grateful that this incident ended with the man still having his life, we've all seen those videos where it doesn't end that way. And lives are taken because of the lack of accountability, the lack of training. There's policy and procedure set in place to make sure that law enforcement are actually protecting our community members. What I saw was not that. And while I understand that there are issues that are bigger, there are issues, things happening within our community that need to be taken care of. The criminalization of the poor, mentally ill, and folks dealing with substance abuse is not helpful. There needs to be more accountability. There needs to be an investigation on the officers that committed the assaults that they did, because what I saw were assaults. And it's frightening to me that we seem to somehow think that it can be justified, perhaps by somebody having a past record. I have spoken with many people of color in our community who are being targeted, who are profiled, who have fear for the police in our community, and we speak about how amazing EPD is and what great things that are happening and they are doing. But there are many folks in our community dealing with things that are not being spoken about. We have a civilian review board, and I spoke with them today, and supposedly they, once the cases are done, then they review them. My understanding is that, I'm not completely clear as how the civilian review board is formed, but we need to have more oversight.
Andrea McKinnon is next, followed by Drix.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Andrea, and I live in Betty Taylor's district. I would like to speak to the growing need for pool space. As a registered nurse of 12 years, the single parent of 2 young swimmers, and a lifelong swimmer myself. Over the years, the limits on space has posed many challenges to my family and others. One of the challenges involves having to navigate a 20 to 30 minute commute time to and from various alternate locations around Eugene, leaving us arriving home after 8 p.m. My kids do not get home till 8 p.m. to finish homework, because after all of the various swim teams, polo teams, and swim lessons have cycled through after school, there's little time left and some of the squads have to be last. It will be worse this fall, as Sheldon is closed for 5 weeks, Amazon is seasonally closed at the end of October, and Echo Hollow is the single remaining facility. Another challenge we have faced was that when I tried to register my son to swim last winter, we were turned away due to lack of pool space. And our family had to swim with a different team in West Eugene for the season. This created a discontinuity that really brought home the extent of not only the demand, but also the limited availability facing swimmers living in Eugene. It struck me that in a city the size and caliber of Eugene, we are having to turn away motivated and capable swimmers because we simply lack the space. Finally, due to the aforementioned, it is my impression that a year-round facility, especially in South Eugene, could relieve the hefty burden being shouldered by Eugene families that wish to pursue swimming for health, recreation, or competition. Making Amazon, in particular, available year-round would relieve families of having to team hop due to high swimmer volume, or pool hopping to alternate sites requiring 40-minute round-trip commutes and late-night homework for these kids. The demands of our community have created a palpable shortage, and my hope is that this council would be responsive to the needs of their constituents, many of who choose to engage their community and their health through swimming. Please, for our family and yours, please consider interventions to make Amazon accessible to Eugene families year-round. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Drix, you're up, followed by Steve Johnson.
Hey, Eugene. It's nice to see everyone. My name is Drix. I live in Allen's Ward on High Street, above High Street. In fact, while I was walking here down High Street, or actually this afternoon, once again, there's nothing that I came to say, but a guy walked by and he said, "Wow, you really do live on High Street," which is kind of fun, but you can see how it's a connection to us here. And I get that all over town. And I don't come here to be on TV. I don't think about it. I don't come here to be on the internet. I just come here because you, Gene, have always been so very good to me for so long, since the 70s. And so I'm kind of giving it back. And the more I think about it, the more I realize those people were not you people. They were those people. And that didn't make sense to me. So thank you very much. I'd smoke another bowl and ponder it on a little longer. I can finally say that. Right here in Oregon. Yes, a little wet corner of the country. God love us. But everything we know is wrong. Fireside Theater out of Portland once said that, and it seems to be true. If you look at everything from politics to community to homeless, which is a strange word to begin with, but it's all new, and I think we need to rethink it. And I've pondered over a lot of things up in my attic, and I've realized that the simplest way through this has been in front of us all along. And my gift here to bring to the City Council, except for great humorous ramblings, has been to bring philosophy and maybe a way to think. Because there's something magic about Eugene. We know that. You can't really describe it. We can say track, and we can say hippies, and we can say green and air and water, but there's a real centered something. So when I throw out questions here, I don't have an answer, but I know you do somewhere in our community, and it's just time to face up to things new. For example, every person on the planet is named you. Isn't that convenient? It's already done for us. Except for me, of course. See, that makes you think about something you never thought about before. But once you start looking at everybody on TV, on the streets as you, well, you drop your frustrations against them. You drop your any kind of barriers. They just become you. And I kind of treat everyone I meet as me, and it's a lot easier, and it's kind of fun. So, a friend of mine did a Drix this week. He just was in an odd situation, so he just started talking a lot and wiggling his hands, and it helped him. So I'd encourage everyone to do a Drix and see how far it gets you. And thank you. And thank you, Mayor Kitty. 12 years of wow. Please don't leave us. Bye-bye.
Okay, Steve, you're next. Followed by Lee DeVoe.
That's impossible to follow. But,
I know.
Good evening, Mayor Piercy and Council. My name is Steve Johnson. I live in the College Hill area. And I just realized when I was thinking about this today, this is my 50th year in Eugene. And for all 50 of those years, I've competed in swimming. And so as you might guess, I'm here to talk about what has been a swimming pool crisis in slow motion that's now reaching the precipice. And we've heard people talk today about the difficulties they've had. And those difficulties are just a few of the problems that Eugene Swimming faces. Our facilities, with the exception of Amazon, are all very old. Echo Hollow Pool's lifespan from here is short. We need a plan in place for how we're going to replace these facilities as they get old. 50 years ago when I moved here, Eugene's population was less than half of what it is now, and we had 4 swimming pools. Today we have 3. And the population is also older and in more need of low-impact sports. My swim club, we heard a woman from Team Eugene mention that she swims 10 per lane. On my master's team, we were 14 per lane this summer. For Saturdays, we've had to move to Willamma Lane in Springfield because there's no facility that will rent us space in Eugene because of the demands for those pools. So I think we need to not only do something about a year on Amazon, we need to be preparing how we're going to deal with the demise of Echo Hollow. Sheldon is even with the money put into it, is still an aging facility. Plus, we need more facilities. Before Eugene, I lived in the Tualatin Hills area. Tualatin Hills has a population about the size or service area the size of Eugene and 7 pools. And people there think it's not quite enough. So I urge you to consider all these things. 10 years ago, I was on the committee that did the master plan for Park and Rec. In our needs assessment survey, the number one thing 10 years ago was a new pool. I guarantee that need has not been met. And so I'm hoping you'll put this on your agenda and keep it in front of yourselves. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Lee DeVoe is next, followed by Chris Califf.
Hi. My name is Lee DeVoe, and I live in Ward 7. I'm here to speak about the rest that was made at the park blocks on Friday, October 21st. I wasn't there and I don't know the person involved, but I've seen video of the incident. And I'm shocked at the level of police violence and brutality. Public safety is not served when a police encounter starts with a suspected sale of a small amount of pot and escalates to a man being repeatedly punched, tased, and maced. For the past several months, there has been a policy of aggressive policing, harassment, and intimidation, targeting people in downtown public space for both small infractions of the law as well as so-called nuisance behaviors. The city manager, John Reese, has described these police tactics as being analogous to the military surge in Iraq. In essence, it seems that Mr. Reese has declared war on some of the most vulnerable people in our community, those without money or shelter. Given the siege mentality, it is no wonder that a minor police encounter on the park blocks would escalate to a major confrontation between an outraged public and pumped-up police officers carrying out their mission of cleaning up downtown. The right to sleep in safety is a prerequisite to a sane society. Shelter and health care are fundamental human rights. If we want our streets to be safer, we need to start with protecting everyone's human rights. Thank you.
Chris Califf is next, followed by Eimer Bushes.
Good evening. My name is Chris Califf. I'm in Betty Taylor's ward, Ward 2. I am a software developer in South Eugene and have been an activist and was a member of the board of Civil Liberties Defense Center for a number of years. So civil liberties issues are important to me. And I came down here as well to speak about the Friday incident. I'd like to talk about Eugene police protocols, because if that was an example of our protocol, I feel like we have a serious discussion that we need to have about this. I'd like to focus my minutes tonight on the word de-escalation, because I saw that used in one of the articles where the cops were congratulating themselves on how well they de-escalated that situation. Now, I hate to jump back to Princess Bride for a minute, but I have to say, if you keep using that word, but I don't think it means what you think it means. What I saw in that video, they justified a de-escalation by the fact that they executed their task quickly. And I feel that I wouldn't be here if they had de-escalated that. But if I can give you a little bit of advice to the EPD about how you de-escalate a situation, I also do security at a country fair, and we've had a lot of trainings about that, okay? And the first thing is communication. And what I heard, I can't verify this, but I've heard, like the other speaker said, that the incident started with a man saying, "Am I being detained?" And the officer said no, and then proceeded to grab him. And this seems to have created a lot of confusion among everyone else down there. And the main thing I heard on the video was, is he being detained? Why is he being detained? What's going on? Is he being arrested? And I heard no communication whatsoever from the police except get back. I mean, barking orders is not communication. If they would have got a loudspeaker out and said, yes, this man has been suspected of a crime, he's being arrested, please disperse, I can't guarantee that would have worked. I understand it was a crowd that was unruly, but you have to start by trying to communicate with people if you expect them to respect you and do as you wish. And then the second step would be, obviously, don't brutalize the suspect in front of an angry crowd if you're trying to de-escalate a situation. As soon as that cop started punching that guy and tasing him, I can tell you I've been in protest situations and I've seen cops arrest people, and as soon as violence starts happening, the crowd escalation is going to go through the roof. And I saw it on the video. People became very angry, and it's an extremely dangerous situation for police officers to be in. I feel that our entire protocol needs to be looked at if that was seen as a logical response, because those cops could have been hurt badly. If the crowd had gone crazy, like I almost wanted to, watching that situation go down the video, that was brutal and that was completely unnecessary. If a man grabbing a bumper can't have his fingers pried off the bumper by 6 cops, then I think y'all need to go practice that maneuver at home a little bit, because it seems like it shouldn't be that hard. Thanks.
Eimer, you're next, followed by Ian Curtis.
City Council, Mayor Piercy, thank you for letting me speak here. My name is Eimer Bushes. I'm a software entrepreneur here in Eugene. I moved to Eugene 25 years ago. As a software developer, we sell hardly anything in Oregon. We could be anywhere in the US. We chose Eugene. I'm a startup guy. We start software companies. I've probably brought 150 years of jobs to Eugene, paid over $10 million in payroll over the last 25 years. 5 years ago, we moved to downtown. We've heard a lot of people address the downtown situation today. I've seen the video too, and of course, as a software entrepreneur, I go like, oh, these guys are homeless and they have the latest model iPhone to take this video. Why doesn't the police have the same equipment to take the video from the other end? But okay, so that's a separate issue. In downtown, I've been stalked, I've been harassed, I've been yelled at. I cannot walk to the store without being asked for money if I say no, and if I say no, I make contributions to Food for Lane County, not to individuals. I'm being treated very aggressively. There are parks I can't use. There are streets I can't cross because of the aggression of people who live there. I don't see the same things if I look at Corvallis or Salem or Portland. I've seen the video, like everybody here. What I see is an incredibly courageous policewoman who is standing with her face to 60 people and asking them, please stand back, please stand back. While she's being yelled at, obscenities, threatened, I have an enormous respect for someone like that. Enormous. I don't think I could do it. And I think that one of the things we should realize is that all these things that are being said about the people, homeless people under whatever circumstances, that's great. But that doesn't make you eligible to threaten people, to stalk people, to yell at people, and make the situation in downtown unlivable for people who work there. What I'd like to ask you, City Council, before you go to sleep tonight, please think, what are the actions that you can do that are being done in these other cities that make it less attractive for people to move here, to live on the streets, or to threaten other people? Thank you.
Thank you. Ian Curtis, followed by Heidi Fickstead.
Hi, my name's Ian Curtis. I'm a sophomore at South Eugene High School and a member of the EG 350 Club at South. I live in Ward 2. I'm here tonight to talk about and urge you as City Council members to do more regarding climate change. I'm well aware of the Climate Recovery Ordinance and applaud the hard work and dedication you have put in place to make Eugene a leader in the climate movement. Climate change is of little importance to the media. The topic was mentioned for a total of 2 seconds in the presidential debates, and the Standing Rock protests over the Dakota Access Pipeline have barely seen major media coverage. Being the age I am, climate change is the greatest threat to my generation and those to come. We need to take action now. Although our efforts as a city are hardly significant in the scheme of things, we stand as a role model for the rest of the country to follow. The CRO is very important to my life as well as others around the world in keeping the world from going over the ledge that is climate change. So long as we put our other interests ahead of global climate change, we are missing the point. What use will economic prosperity and corporate interests be when our coastal cities are flooded, our cold climates turn warm, and our warm climates inhospitable? What use will a strong border be when we have to fill our northern states with southern refugees? Thomas Paine once said, "The world is my country, all mankind my brethren, and to do good is my religion." As city councilors, I realize you can only do so much, but we need you to do what we can. You can cause change, not just in our city, but in our state and eventually, hopefully, our nation. We need you to be our middlemen to state representatives and to the Oregon Congressional Delegation and educate them in how they can truly do their part to make the world a better place. You're only one person, but your actions can inspire so many more. Show the rest of the state what we are doing with transportation in the TSP, with incorporating a walkable downtown, and maintaining wonderful parks and open spaces, and I swear they will want to follow Eugene's lead. I'd like to thank this opportunity to speak and to thank you for your hard work on this major issue. Please keep up the good work and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Heidi, you're next. Followed by Alfredo Gormazano, it looks like.
Good evening. Thank you for all being here. My name is Heidi Fickstad, and I'm here with Sylvan Magnus and Cam McNeely, and we are the owners of Moss Crossing, which is a dispensary in the Friendly Street neighborhood, which is Mr. Brown's ward. I am here to address the draft ordinance that was put forward by Claire Sinet regarding maintaining the 1,000-foot buffer that currently exists for medical marijuana shops. And I'm here to urge you to move forward with this issue as quickly as possible. You probably have noticed there are quite a few dispensaries in town. There's one on almost every corner already. And we are one of the few local shops, well, not few, there's a few of us, but there's local ones, and then there's the bigger corporations that are coming in. We have personally been approached by a couple corporations, and we rejected their offers for funding based on their disregard for our community. They care about money and profits. And Cam and Sylvan were both born and raised in Eugene, and my family has been here for 20 years, and we care very deeply for the community, and we care very much about maintaining a positive image for this new industry. If this 1,000-foot buffer is not maintained, as it has been in all of the other municipalities within Oregon, that leaves it open for out-of-state and out-of-city corporations and businesses to come in and push all of us out. We've been here for a couple years. We've worked really hard to secure our locations. And the cannabis industry is not like other industries. It's very unique. There's a lot of changing regulation. There's a lot of special challenges we face, namely the 280E tax law, wherein our effective tax rate is around 60 to 70%. This is really hard on our profits. A lot of us are not making money yet, and we are holding out for the laws to change, basically, because we believe in this industry so much, and we believe in creating a really positive image. We personally pay our employees a living wage. That was very, very important to us. And we speak to fellow community members about what they think about us and our business and what would help people feel safe and secure, or if there's any issues that they'd like to address. And I guarantee you other corporations do not do this. We've seen it firsthand. Currently, OLCC is taking applications, and right now, without the buffer, we could see many applications coming in, and they could fill every street corner, and it would be, I think, very bad for the community and for the cannabis industry as a whole to be the only ones. Thank you.
Alfredo, you're next. And Carl Eisenbach is after him.
Good evening. I'm Alfredo Gormazano, and I'm still not sure the ward number I live in, but I hope it soon becomes Emily Simple's ward. Anyway, I'm here for a few reasons. One is I want to address the issue of police oversight, excessive force in our community. You know, this isn't the first time I've heard of it, but I'm absolutely sickened by what I've been hearing, and I didn't even watch the video, could not get myself to watch it, just reading the comments about what was in it. To me, that's approaches Gestapo-like tactics. You know, people lived in fear in the 30s and 40s because of that, because the local police did that to people. We cannot have that here. No matter what, we cannot have that here. A person who's not under arrest, charged with resisting arrest, and then getting beaten for it, this is absolutely insane, absolutely ridiculous. You know, our country is moving too far in this direction of militarization of the police, having police acting like occupying armies in our communities. We need our communities to be safe. I want to go back to when I was a kid, being brought up to think that the police were our friends and they were nice guys that we could look up to and we could trust and connect with. You know, my years as demonstrating against the Vietnam War showed me something different about that. I watched people getting beaten in that time too. It's horrible, absolutely horrible. And we cannot abide by that in this community. We're getting to the point of, first we have Black Lives Matter, then we have All Lives Matter and kind of a response or reaction to that, but I feel like we're moving into a No Lives Matter situation, and we cannot do that. So that's one reason I came. Another is to address the housing issue, which also helps get people out of downtown. You know, many times I've spoken about the city helping people build homes in their backyard so we can rent them out. It helps us small homeowners to not go into foreclosure. If I went into foreclosure, which I faced 3 times already and fought it off via GoFundMe and Facebook, I would be homeless. I can't afford today's rent compared to what my mortgage is, you know? So when I asked the downtown what the fees were for building a home, $8,000 to $10,000 to building another building in the backyard. Really? Okay, I can see that for rich landowners up in the hills who I've been hearing are abusing this by building big houses in their yard and renting out to 5 students at a time, and then the rest of the people in the neighborhood are upset. But in my neighborhood, we need stuff like that. And please synchronize the traffic lights on West 18th. It'll save carbon really well by cars not idling there during rush hour. It's horrible. Thank you.
Thank you. Carl, you're next, followed by Stefan Streck.
Carl Eisenbach. I live in Councilor Zelenka's ward. I was really very proud to hear about your accomplishments and your housing resolution because, I mean, Eugene really does an incredible job in terms of trying to meet the needs of low-income housing and the homeless, and you really should be proud of yourselves in many respects. At the same time, you know, I hear the people from the Downtown Association and other people talking about the problems that they encounter with people down here. One of the things that really struck out to me in terms of your resolution is that there are over 1,400 people in this city that have absolutely no access to any services whatsoever. They are on the streets. There is no place for them to go. There's no one to help them. No agency can help them. And so when you see people congregating, whether it's in the park blocks or Kesey Square or wherever, particularly in downtown, they're there for a reason. They're there because there is no other alternative for them. They tend to band together for protection because, frankly speaking, I don't think anybody at this dais has any understanding of how dire and desperate the situation is for people who are actually having to experience the problems of homelessness. Now, given that, it seems to me that the Downtown Association could accomplish many of its goals, and the City of Eugene could accomplish many of its goals if we did a little bit of outside-the-box thinking. And I know that I've been here for many, many years, and I've always said the same thing. But, you know, one of the things that the city seems to have a blind spot is in terms of providing safe, secure, temporary shelter for people who have no place else to go. Now, whether it goes on to, you know, the vacant City Hall block, or whether there's a cooperative agreement with Lane County in terms of the use of the fairgrounds, or whatever, okay, if the city was to work to provide shelter that it does not do right now, so that you could basically give people some place where they could go for 24 hours a day in a fairly warm and secure environment, you might be surprised to see the number of people downtown causing problems disappear. I would estimate that you could probably cut the number of people downtown in half if you change your policies regarding homeless camps and shelter. And so you really need to think about that, and you need to take it to a new level. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Stefan, you're next.
Good day, everybody. My name is Stefan Streck. I live right in between Betty Taylor and Councilor Brown's districts. It's a fantastic place and my favorite part of the city. You all know me. I know most of you. This has been a fantastic year. I love Eugene. We have the greatest city on earth. And in addition to that, I need to point out, we live right next to the worst city on earth. Springfield, Oregon is literally the worst city you could ever go to. It's worse than Fallujah, Baghdad, anywhere. And the city of Eugene is being made worse than Springfield. I don't know why, I don't know how, but these hobos have got to go. I spent the past 3 years living right down on 12th and Ferry, right next to Whitebird, and it was awful. Literally every single day, having to wake up, put on my size 13s, throw on some Adidas track pants. I don't even got time to put on a shirt. And I have to kick hobos out of the alley behind my house that I pay for. I work a job. I've been a public servant for 9 years now. And I have to spend that money to live someplace where I'm woken up by hobos every day? Awful. And there are tons of people in this city that have to deal with just that. I got spit on this year. I told a hobo who was smoking weed next to the dumpster behind my house, hey, I approve what you're doing. Smoke that weed. Just, I can't have people trespassing here. Walked right up to me, spit in my face, and what am I supposed to do? I saw the headlines. No, we can't have those headlines. Not in an election year. So, I call the police, and we have great police in this town. They do a great job. They work triple overtime to deal with all the garbage that is allowed. Like, seriously, why do we need the sidewalks clear of bikes? Is that valuable real estate for sleeping bags and tents? That's wrong. Sidewalks are meant for being walked on or for people to ride their bikes. These Jim Crow bike laws have got to go because you cannot put up these laws that are just arbitrarily enforced. There's no police officer who wants to be giving someone a ticket for riding their bike 2 miles an hour on the sidewalk in the rain. It's like it rains here. Come on. A girl I know broke her arm just this last week because the traffic routes in this town are completely unsafe. You're having people going around in the rain, on bikes, in between cars, and then getting tickets if they want to be safe. That's ridiculous. And the police should not have to do that. They should not have to put up with all these drug-addicted, rapey hobos that are bad people. These are bad hobos, and they have got to go. My friend, Emery Libby, who shot himself when he lived here, he was hanging out with a hobo, was buying him some liquor, because teenagers in this town, most of their parents won't buy them liquor. They go to the homeless to buy liquor. This hobo pulls out a revolver, says, what are you going to do if I shoot you? He says, if it's my time to go, it's my time to go. And this hobo starts crying, says, that's the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. These are the people that you want to endorse sleeping in our parks while 7- and 10-year-olds have to walk past them to go to school?
Thank you.
Not on my watch. Vote Streck. Vote Republican.
I'm going to close the public hearing and thank almost everybody for coming. I'm going to turn to council.
Mayor?
Yes.
Mayor, could I be in the queue?
Yes. You can go right now.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for coming down to speak with us this evening. It's really important to hear from folks. I wanted to thank Mariah for her good wishes regarding my health. I do hope to be attending council meetings in person starting next week, so I'm looking forward to that. I was very concerned about the testimony from Ms. Cummings regarding her experience of sexual harassment downtown. I was disturbed by her story in the email that she sent us. And I share her and others' frustration at feeling besieged by unwanted attention when one is just trying to go about their day downtown. I don't know, obviously, I don't have solutions up my sleeve, and we've got to be looking for things that are going to fit within constitutional limits if we're looking at enforcement measures, but there are other things we could be doing, and I'm willing to look at options and look to find some creative ways to improve the atmosphere downtown so we can all feel safe and welcome there. And I realize different people have different experiences downtown, and some folks say they've never had a problem downtown, and I respect that as well. I think that's their truth as well, but some other folks have a very different experience, and it's not okay. So I'm hopeful that our new community court system, which is already up and building up steam, is going to provide some accountability as well as positive redirection for those who choose to participate and help them get connected with the many social services and job supporting programs that we have. And so perhaps we can build upon that new program to find some ways to address these chronic issues. On the subject of looking at local regulation of retail marijuana shops, I think it would still be a good idea for us to have that discussion. I don't think that happened in my absence. I could be wrong, so please correct me. But we may decide we don't want to add any restrictions, but I think we should have the discussion. So since we already technically had a work session on that, I'm not sure what process would be appropriate for putting it back onto the agenda, but I'll speak to the city manager about that.
Good.
Just two quick things. Very pleased to hear Michael Kerrigan's report about the mayor meeting with folks in Salem to share our successful Rest Stop program. I'm eager to see this program become a routine part of our emergency and temporary housing strategies. And thanks, Drix, for sharing your High Street philosophy with us again.
So I've got John and Mike and George Poling in the queue. Before I turn to John, I just wanted to say, and he may have something to say about this too, that we have a lot of things we're trying right now in many places to try to alleviate some of these pressures on our community. And I guess I would preface it by saying we care about everybody. And we're trying to figure out strategies. And council was told, Chief Kearns came and talked to people earlier tonight, and to council earlier tonight, and they're going to be bringing back to us. I think we're going to try to do a work session together in November to look at some other options for dealing with some of these issues that have been brought up this evening. And we'll continue to try to engage all the community members who've expressed interest and concern as well. John?
You can do the councilors first if that's more appropriate than I can.
All right, that's fine. Mike?
Thank you, Mayor. I got a couple of things. I just, where to start? First of all, it's been my pleasure and well, let me start this way. Chris, my friend Councilor Pryor, has on many occasions reminded us that homelessness is a condition and it's not a behavior. It's not a thing that we make illegal. Criminal behavior is different than someone's status of where they live. And we work really hard to separate those two issues. And it's important, if you're going to address this appropriately, that we do that. But on the same token, when it comes to illegal behavior, someone's housing status doesn't make any difference. It doesn't matter whether they are homeless or whether they are not. If they're committing an illegal act, they're still committing an illegal act, and that can't be done. It's not an excuse for that. And I've heard and read a lot of things that seem to suggest they should be. It's been my privilege to be on the police commission now for 8, almost 9 years, and we spent months and months and months and months going word by word, developing the use of force policies for the police department, where what they can do and when they can do it, and the sliding force scale of when they can respond in certain ways for specific reasons. They're all extremely well trained on that. They know what the community's expectation is. And I have to tell you, I watched that video, and it looked to me, I'm no expert, there are experts who will review it, as if those officers complied with our policies about if you resist arrest, you'll be forced to stop resisting. That's what the officers do. If they've decided to arrest you, comply, or you'll be forced to comply. That's their job in those cases where they arrest someone. And so it was disturbing for me to hear a lot of the things I have. I would say that I admire the restraint that those officers showed. There's a great deal more work to do. I have 30 seconds left, and so I can't address all of the things that I wanted to here. I have been working on issues around downtown public safety for years. I believe there are some ideas that this council can employ that would work. There are those suggested by officers for years that we've decided not to, but I will look forward to us doing more as the weeks go on here. Thank you.
Councilor Poling.
Thank you. First of all, Mr. Hauser, Ms. Cummings, Mr. Pettisar, Imar Bushes, and unfortunately I can't remember the other person from the Downtown Eugene Merchants Association that spoke. Let me assure you that you are not alone in your feelings and your concerns about downtown. We as a council, the mayor and city manager, have been seeing an increased number of emails from citizens throughout the entire city concerned about what's going on downtown, the negative impact that is happening downtown. As the mayor said earlier, we're working on trying to come up with the right solutions, but because of legal restrictions and constitutional restrictions and ideas and ideals, we're struggling with it, but rest assured we are working on it. You're not alone, and I sympathize with you. I understand your problems. I can understand how you feel, and thank God there are people like you in our community that are willing to stick it out and stay downtown. I appreciate that, and from the bottom of my heart, you do not understand how much I appreciate your willingness to stay. And I will probably need a second round, Madam Mayor. But as far as the incident on Friday, one of our speakers likened it to the Vietnam protests, I believe. Some made mention of that. This was nothing like the Vietnam protests. I was there. I took part in them. I also helped put them down. There were two people that were actually arrested that day. One was cooperative, complied, was cited and released, went away. You never hear anything about him anymore. It's the one person that decided they were going to resist any type of legal action against them for what was perceived, and the arrest question, whether it was a legal arrest, whether it was actually guilty of a crime, will be decided at a later time in a court of law. When a police officer is trying to make an arrest, as Councilor Clark said, and the individual that's being arrested tries to resist, officers have every right in the world to take whatever action is necessary to complete that action, to make that arrest. I remember sitting in a courtroom one time. A gentleman had pled guilty to resisting arrest and assaulting a police officer, and the sitting judge at the time told that person, you lay one hand on a police officer, he has every right in the world to thump you into submission. Now, granted, this was in the early 80s. I started in police work in 1972 when we didn't have all the technology that we've got now. We didn't have all the psychological training and all the different types of training on de-escalation. We were given a nightstick and told, avoid the knees, avoid the head. If they resist, go for the shins, go for the arms. Law enforcement has come a long way since 1972, thank goodness. I got out in 2001. Things have even changed since then. Okay, I will ask for a second round. I want to discuss the issue of the meeting.
City Manager.
Just a couple things, Mayor. First of all, with respect to the Amazon pool, I know we've heard quite a bit of testimony over the last several weeks, and it's been really nice, good testimony from a variety of folks. Just to remind the council and others that as part of our Parks and Recreation Systems plan, which has been underway for a couple years, which is really the next round of capital improvements that the community may choose to move forward with. One of those that is being analyzed and costed is aquatics, a full array of aquatics capacity to include the potential for the covering of an Amazon pool. And so I just wanted to let you know that we'll be bringing that to you in the context of the entire systems plan over the next many months for your part of your consideration with that. And the next piece is just to give you the quick context. A couple people mentioned this surge comment, and I thought I'd just give you the context for that. I was invited by the Chamber's Local Government Affairs Committee several weeks ago to just come and talk about downtown and downtown public safety. And for me, at the time, Police Chief Kearns had increased the police presence in the downtown. His intent with that was to provide a safer downtown experience for everybody in that in the community, in fact and in perception. And I think in some ways that really helped. My particular comment really was that we can't arrest ourselves out of the challenges of downtown, but in fact what's important is that what the police presence does is helps to stabilize a particular situation. And then what's really important is you have to build the infrastructure back underneath that. And the infrastructure is everything from housing, it's the programming, it's community court, it's the fiber projects, it's the upcoming work session in which you'll have some opportunities to also consider some other items. And so the context of that particular comment was in the context of the idea of stabilizing, but you have to build the infrastructure underneath that. You really, in fact, can't arrest ourselves out of that particular situation. And so I just wanted to provide that context for you.
Thank you for doing that. So I've got both Councillor Clark and Polling in another round. Go ahead, Councillor Pryor.
Yeah, I have been listening to the comments, and I did listen to what everybody had to say, and I thought it was very interesting. And I did watch the video, and it is interesting. I think anyone who watches the video, to some degree, particularly in a video like that, will see what they want to see, and they'll hear what they want to hear. And they'll believe what they want to believe. And in the position I'm in here in this table, I don't have the luxury of being able to do that. I have to reserve what I am going to decide until I have more information and understand more about it. And I think that's appropriate. Because when we're talking about these subjects, they are very weighty subjects, and it's very easy to become emotionally invested in these subjects because they are important. And I think it is easy to become emotionally invested to the point of closing out the full diversity of what may have gone on, what may be going on, and what may need to be done. I was at an event last week where I was manning a city booth for an hour, and I was encouraging people to say what would they like to see downtown. With little dots. And interestingly, every single person that I asked said, what's the point? I don't want to go downtown because it's such a bad place right now. I don't need to decide what we want to do downtown because we have so many problems down there. And I was struck by the fact that how many people perceive that we have such a problem downtown that there's no point in talking about what to do there that is good until we figure out what to do downtown with what is bad. And it leaves me saying, well, what is bad? And this gets back to the notion that everybody's going to believe what is bad is what they believe bad is. And back to the condition and behavior, I don't want downtown to be Pleasantville. I have no interest in downtown becoming Pleasantville. I think a certain amount of funky is nice. And funky's a behavior that to me is perfectly acceptable. And so I would not want to, as some people do, end funky downtown because I don't think that would be desirable. But there are other behaviors, illegal behaviors, the sale of drugs, sex trafficking, prostitution, exploitation, particularly of youth. I'm involved in 15th Night. These are behaviors that under even the broadest definition I would not consider acceptable. And so we do need to come up with ways to address some of the behaviors downtown that are making some people feel uncomfortable and are also threatening and are also illegal. And I seek creative ways to do that, outside the box thinking, as somebody said. I am wide open to that. But nevertheless, we must be firm in how we address those kinds of behaviors, not just all behaviors.
So I feel like I have to say that I don't think it's acceptable at all. In the case of Caroline, I don't think it's acceptable for any woman to hear insulting comments made about her. We all remember back when we used to accuse construction workers of being the ones who did that kind of thing. The best pushback on that is for other community members to tell them that's not acceptable, and we have to have our voices heard standing up for people who are getting that kind of verbal abuse, no matter where it's coming from, and maybe some other innovative things. And the other thing that I think about is I understand that panhandling is protected by our Constitution, which gives us some challenges, but I don't know where the line is between simply panhandling and when you're being overly aggressive to people. So some of those sort of tempered lines between things, and how do we help each other as a community push back on what's not acceptable to any of us, I think are things that we need to be finding some way to take some strides on. I did want to say to people who are here, because I heard it said, so we have an independent police auditor. If someone who was there, not seeing it on a video, if someone who was there thinks they were mistreated by not mistreated, but something our officers did was out of line, what they're supposed to do is go right over to the independent police auditor's office on 8th and Olive and make a complaint. The auditor will then take that complaint and pass it through the system, and if it gets investigated, he'll oversee that investigation and make sure it is fair and impartial. And then, and it comes out the other side. So that is this. Some of you here, but this council put that independent auditor process in place, the investigation process in place, and the CRB in place, and that's what it's for. I feel like I have to also say tonight that while we were having this incident that has upset some folks, a lot of folks for different reasons, our police officers spent 2 days this weekend, 2 days, working hard, talking a person in a mental health crisis down who was using a gun to make sure that that person did not hurt himself or anyone else. And at the conclusion of that work, the person did not hurt himself and he didn't hurt anyone else. That's the kind of police work that our police officers work on trying to bring about all the time. Just wanted to add that to the conversation. Councillor Clark.
Thank you, Mayor. The mayor was kind enough to cover one of the 3 things I wanted to say. That was great. We have our auditor here, that it's important that folks know he works directly for the council. He doesn't work for the police department. He doesn't work for the city manager. He responds directly to council, to the people you elect. So he gets to watch every investigation that the police department does. If he has any questions, to make sure they do it right, they do it thoroughly, and then respond to us. So there's accountability for what officers do that respond directly to the people that you elect in order to make sure of it. That's important, number one. Number two, it's important for us to talk about, I think, and I mentioned it earlier, the job that police officers do and how folks should respond. I watched, and I'm going to call them out on this, I guess. I watched a news report on KMTR the other day that was talking about this incident in the park, and they showed a snippet of a young lady saying that the young man who was arrested wasn't resisting. He was just saying, let me go and tell me what I did. But the process of saying, let me go, is resisting. So folks weren't really, that were watching that news, didn't understand that there's active resistance, there's passive resistance. If an officer says, stand still, if an officer says, put your hand behind your back and don't move, he's going to facilitate an arrest, then it's best to comply and sort the details out later, because he has to finish that action. The other piece that's important here too, I think, is there was a time in our country where people used to get really angry at members of the military when they came back from Vietnam specifically. And they got called some nasty stuff, and they got treated very badly for serving their country. We don't do that today. Today, we show respect to the folks that serve the country, because we know that it's the folks who get elected who decide where they're going to go and what they're going to do, and we hold them accountable. But the folks who serve to try and keep us safe, we show them respect. It's my opinion, with police officers, it's the same thing. We're the ones to hold responsible for laws that you don't like. If you don't think something should be illegal or that an officer should act in a certain way, it's us to hold responsible. They're simply hired to carry out what those in charge have asked them to do. And they're doing it honorably and to the best of their ability, and they're held accountable if they do it wrong. So I would encourage you to speak more to those that are elected about what you think should or shouldn't be illegal, if you disagree. Thank you.
Councillor Poling.
Thank you. Just one comment about oversight. I think, people were asking for more accountability. It's my opinion that we probably have one of the most stringent police oversights in the state, if not within the region. I think our police auditor does a wonderful job on handling the complaints that come in. Secondly, one of our speakers tonight made reference to the effect that made it sound like that the arrest that was made at the park blocks was because somebody was homeless. That's not the case. The arrest was because of an illegal activity that was observed by officers, that being a hand-to-hand drug transaction. Again, I referred to the other two people were arrested. One complied, one didn't. I watched the video and I found it sickening also. As a young officer in 1973, I remember standing on the front line facing 5,000 people at Seal Beach, California, St. Patrick's Day riots. And I heard some awful things being said, but nothing, absolutely nothing like what was on that video being hurled at those officers. The comments, the demands, the racial slurs, the references to their family members was totally uncalled for. And anybody that would do that is just, to me, it's sickening. It's absolutely sickening. They should be ashamed of themselves. Their parents should be ashamed of themselves. And I thank God my daughter would never say anything like that to a police officer. And finally, I just would like to take a couple of minutes to thank those officers that were there for handling the situation the way they did. Especially the one lone female officer that was standing out front, Mr. Eimer Bushes made reference to that, being repeatedly called a coward. To me, of all the officers on the scene, that female officer out there showed the most restraint, the most bravery of any of the officers there. While the officers were trying to undo the guy from the car, she stood tall in front of that crowd of idiots, as far as I'm concerned, hurling those nasty comments to her. And I just want to let people know that I appreciate the work that the police department did that day, as well as every day of the year. We, the members of the city of Eugene, the citizens of Eugene, are lucky to have a police department that have the caliber of officers that receive the high quality of training, that conduct their day-to-day business in such a high professional state. And I'm proud that they are members of our police department.
So now we're going to move on to our next item, which is a consent calendar. Council President?
I move to approve the items on the consent calendar.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
Item C, please.
Yes.
I was going to say that. That's interesting.
Okay. Item C is pulled, and we'll vote on the other two. All those in favor, please indicate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Councilor Surratt?
I vote yes.
8 in favor and none in opposition. It passes. Thank you. Then we'll go back to vitamin C.
Vitamin C.
Vitamin C. We'll go to vitamin C now. George, yeah.
And then I'd like to as well.
The only reason why I'm pulling this is as a result of a similar type thing that occurred a couple of weeks ago when we had an approval of resolution annexing land on the consent calendar. We actually did the consent calendar in the work session. People showed up to speak for that and didn't know what happened to it. So I just wanted to pull it to make us aware that this type of action is on the consent calendar, and to make sure that there was nobody in the audience that was waiting to speak to that issue.
Mike? Excuse me, Councilor Clark.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to, I don't know how many of you with computers there have this up, but it's the attachment B to item C here. There's a map.
Here, let me power up my computer.
There you go. Power up that computer, brother. One of the things I wanted to show you was two issues that I almost, I regularly bring up just to talk about when we do annexation pieces. But this one is a really great example of it. I'm in favor of us annexing this in this particular case. It's in my ward. But one of the things I would ask you to look at is that Gillum Road north of Ayers, which this is only a small portion of, is, Mr. Manager, do you know, is this county road at that point on Gillum?
Yes.
So that's a and are we annexing in any portion of the roadway? Okay. So that's a county road still at that point. And it's an unimproved road with huge ditches on each side and literally about 1.5 feet between the actual road and the ditch. So all up and down there. And by the way, for all 50 of the houses I can see on this map, and this is only a small portion of this development area, this is the only road in and out. So anytime there are mothers walking kids in strollers, and I hear this one all the time, there's literally 1.5 feet where if a car gets really close, they're in danger. And this is a road that we should be taking care of, in my opinion, because we're the ones annexing the property, approving the development in the area without any plan to bring this road to a city standard. And it isn't fair that we charge just the folks along the roadway when we're the ones saying, sure, develop all around there. So I would encourage us to be more equitable when it comes time for us to finally make that road safe for those residents in my ward. Thank you.
All right, ready to vote on this one? All those in favor, please indicate. Claire?
I vote yes.
That's 8 in favor, none in opposition. It passes. Next is a public hearing, an ordinance concerning annual maintenance of land use code. City Manager?
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight's public hearing is on a package of land use code amendments related to annual maintenance of the code. This package consists of a modest number of amendments that address corrective or legal issues. If these issues are left unaddressed, they pose a challenge in the administration of the land use code. The amendments do not address policy issues or topics associated with other planning division work program items.
In the hearing, and I have John Borofsky.
Da, 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 da.
You ventured out of budget into land use.
Go home early.
I'll get there, don't worry. Hello, my name's John Borofsky, Ward 3. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. I'm just here to talk about the code amendments in front of you. I would hope that you guys would pass those unanimously. That's housekeeping things. What I am hoping to speak to today is the workload that the Planning and Development Department is doing. I'm just going to read off a list of some things. If you look at what you have in front of you, that's the 35 pages of amendments, 4 pages of findings. On top of that, we have the Envision Eugene Comprehensive Plan. We have appeals that come before us on a regular basis. The urban growth boundary findings, urban reserves, the monitoring that we looked at and talked about earlier. Moving ahead, transportation corridors, the transportation system plan, public outreach, neighborhood plans, 3 neighborhood plans that have been promised for years: South Willamette, University area, River Road, Santa Clara. The Parks Plan, short-term planning, which has been hit with a lot of new development, which is a good thing for us. You know, there was a lot of time when we didn't have a lot of work for those short-term planners to do. Luckily, today we do have a lot of it. I see these things as when I'm in the Planning Commission, and I'm worried about the amount of staffing that we have in planning and development. We've lost some planners due to retirements and attrition. And just like in the police department, you can't just hire somebody and have them up to speed right off the bat. It takes a while to bring people to that level of understanding. I would hope that the city manager in his budgeting coming forth, and you all as members of the budget committee, consider that going forward and think about what the Planning and Development Department is doing, and if there is a need for more resources in that department. because I know all of you have specific needs in your wards and neighborhoods that you would like to see addressed. But if there aren't the people there to do these neighborhood and refinement plans, it's 2, 3, 4 years away. And that can be helped out with more staffing. Well, what is more staffing? That's FTEs, and that's dollars. And so I just wanted to bring that up for you guys to think of before somebody says, I need the money for pools, or I need the money for downtown, or I need the money for this. It's also another area that I think deserves discussion. So thank you.
You. I'm going to close the public hearing. I guess, go ahead, Councilor Foley.
Thank you. Just one comment. John, thanks for coming down as usual. That's good to see you. And you did bring up a lot of materials that needed to be covered in this. A number of years ago, the council was presented with some housekeeping code amendments, and this is when I think Scott Meisner, Bonnie Bettman, David Kelly, Gary Pape, Jennifer Solomon, and I were on the council then, and we approved them. And down the line, some of them came back to bite us. So, and I've read through this the best I could, and hopefully there aren't any of these housekeeping changes that's going to occur like that happened a number of years ago. So I am willing to support the motion when it's put on the floor, but I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed.
I too would like to thank you, John, and I just want to say that I think that's one of the hardest things for us to do as a council and as a community is to realize that you can't, in a way, pick and choose between, because all these things need to rise together. Whether it's our needs in the planning department, our needs in the police department, our needs all across the parks, all these things are things that make a good city. And so trying to keep our eyes on all of those and not disproportionately take care of one thing while disproportionately not taking care of another thing, or some of the challenges we face. Thanks so much for coming tonight. So anybody else? Okay. So the next thing is if anybody has any committee reports or items of interest. Anybody have anything? Okay. Okay. Looks. Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.